much as anything for the parents and coaches to absorb the learning, because they spend the majority of the time with the athletes throughout the year in preparing for competitions. And so there's a great atmosphere here and a great feeling. It's a fundamentally important part of what we do at England Athletics in providing the foundations for these young athletes to then progress through the youth program, to the junior program, to the senior program, and who knows, one day to represent England at senior level or Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And that's an important responsibility we have as an organisation.
Big weekend, lots of youngsters between 16 and 18 years, having an opportunity to work with some really specialist coaches in their event area, but also come together with other groups. They've got their personal coaches here, parents to come, some parent education, like a real good buzz around it. What we tried to do on the Youth Talent Programme is identify the areas that they can develop, do a bit of education, whether that be the physical, the technical, the tactical, and the social and emotional stuff. And try and help them build a network of knowledge to really grow as an athlete. So it's a great opportunity to help set them up for the future pathway, whether that be progressing on to senior success or just giving them the skills that help them thrive in life.
So being on the YTP was one of my first main things as an athlete, my first main achievements to get onto it. So I was just really excited to be part of it and to be able to train with athletes here and just improve my athletics, take it to the next level. So today we had some training. So we did a little training session and it's just working with the coaches, working on technique and how to improve even more and make sure we're doing everything correctly. And then later we've got some testing to make sure we've improved and see our progress, see where we're at.
The testing part of it allows them to monitor the athlete, allows them to track their progress over time and really make sure, or really to see if they've made that improvement over the 2-year journey that they have with them.
The Youth Talent Programme has just helped me in so many aspects. So not only do I get to train with the best athletes and the best coaches in the country, but I also get so much more support, whether it's nutrition, psychology, and also parents and coaches. They can come down, they can speak to the coaches, get advice on how to just make our training and everyday life so much better.
You don't get this anywhere else in the UK, so it's a privilege to be able to use the Youth Talent Programme to receive such training facilities as these. For any athlete who's coming up from the younger age groups to the age groups where there's more internationals, it's pivotal. Not only because you get all these experiences, but you get people who have experienced that as well, and they pass on that knowledge, and that is very important. Understanding where you're going, especially for someone like me, whose family had no history in athletics, and we came knowing nothing. It's very important that the Youth Talent Programme facilitated us being able to come learn. And then when I went on to internationals, I felt ready straight away. The Youth Talent Programme days highly beneficial for the athletes and the coaches, because we get a second viewpoint on what the athletes doing. We get keyed up with different coaching techniques. Although I've been taught by some very good coaches over the years, I've learned some real different stuff here. The use of the facilities here at Loughborough are fantastic, and being able to train in indoor circle is something we haven't got a look. We get to come here and he can do repetitive drills and throws inside, and then we go outside and use the circles here, which again are some of the best circles in the country to be honest. So yeah, very, very good that side of it.
This is about developing rounded human beings. This is not just about a journey to the podium at senior level. This is about integration of life skills, of meeting new friends, learning new disciplines that hopefully will stand these young people in good stead for a long and healthy life. So as long as we can keep more young athletes in our sport, that really is a primary objective, as well as developing talent.
Right, I'm just gonna reshare my presentation, and then you should be back with us on our PowerPoint rather than it's now not, apologies for this, it's now not letting me share my presentation again. There we go. So you should all hopefully be able to see my presentation again now.
It's the end of the YouTube video.
Right, on my screen, it's got something different.
We've
Can
got
you
an-
not
we've
see
got-
the presentation, Tom?
No, we've got an advert for Barbie, maybe.
Right,
There we go.
is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent.
Done.
Okay, so overall, everyone, the Youth Talent Program is the first selective point of the talent pathway in athletics. So we have 3 different programs: the Youth Talent Program, the Junior Talent Program, and then the Senior Program. So the Youth Talent Program is our first time we select any athletes onto a program of support in the sport of athletics and through England Athletics. It's very much focused around an athlete developing a dual career, which is around supporting to fulfill their potential within athletics, but also making sure that we support their education and future employability. As Chris Jones, our Chief Executive, really well communicated a moment ago, it's very much around making sure a young athlete develops holistically, because there'll be many skills that will support their future development as an athlete, as well as a journey through athletics. And that's what we aim to do through the Youth Talent Program. It is the first program of 3. Athletes will come onto a program, as hopefully you all know, as signing into this, as they begin their A levels or equivalent qualification in that age. It's a 2-year program, as we'll outline how that 2-year looks, followed by a 2-year junior talent program for a number who will progress from the YTP onto the JTP. And then from 22 years of age, so end of university years, we have a senior program, as well as programs based in around the world class program with British Athletics. So this is overall what our talent pathway looks like. Youth Talent Program been the first selective program and part of the pathway. We have 220 athletes per year come on to the YTP. And that's obviously what the people hopefully listening to this webinar tonight are looking to apply. And that passes into the Junior Talent Program. From there, that moves either over towards the Futures Program for those who are moving into a British Athletics support side of it, or into our senior development and performance programs, which are really aimed at people progressing to Commonwealth Games level support. And all of this journey is supported very much by club schools coaches within whatever home environment people are at, whether that be a university group, a professional group as they get older, or within their club or school environment at the younger ages. So just to show the progression, what you can see from there is that the Youth Talent Program is the biggest in terms of numbers. At 220 per year, we have around 440 athletes on the Youth Talent Program at any one time. Each year, around about 75 to 100 of those will progress onto the Junior Talent Program, into that 2-year program we have there as well. And obviously you can see that the senior programs and world-class programs are smaller again. So what is the Youth Talent Program? What it's about, and what we're looking to achieve. So you can see our 4 pillars of what we are aiming to achieve and what the values of a program is. It's about supporting, empowering, transitioning, and achieving. The support is very much around creating behavior, skills, and knowledge that athletes and coaches are going to require to progress through the pathway. And it's not about being perfect in any way, shape, or form. It is about beginning that journey for a young athlete to develop some of those skills, develop some of that knowledge, so then they can go on and use it in future years, as well as in their current environments. It's about getting the athlete to understand that athletic development is much more than just technical, tactical work. It's about the holistic development of life that's going to help them transition through to have a career in athletics, potentially also a career outside of athletics. So it's about employability, it's about nutrition, it's about the things that make them better students, it's about the things that make them potentially a better coach of the future, as well as being a future international athlete. And it is about supporting people to transition through our pathway. So essentially what we do want is as many people on the youth talent program being able to transition through, become Olympic and Commonwealth Games level athletes, while also knowing that a number of athletes will go back into the club pathway and hopefully have a lifelong love of athletics and have a great experience of athletics for the rest of their career. And obviously the ultimate performance outcome is allowing everybody to reach their maximal potential. And that's not necessarily for everybody, the elite side of athletics, but it may be just to achieve the maximum they can achieve in the sport, whether that be junior international representation, whether it be club athletics, whether it be Commonwealth Games or an Olympic pathway. So I'm just going to hand over to Tom to talk a little bit more around what the delivery and support of what the DICE program is that underpins the youth talent program.
So as Alan mentioned in the introduction just then, you'll also do a DICE qualification, which is worth 64 UCAS points, and that runs alongside the YTP. And it's done kind of holistically, so within your training environment. The couple of bits from me. So as Loughborough College, we kind of oversee that aspect, and that's kind of my role to manage and coordinate everything there. And the other big aspect I'd say to everyone this year is you really have a fantastic opportunity this year. There has been a ton of work that has gone into the program this year. It's kind of all new and sparkly, etc. And it's going to be a really fantastic opportunity for you guys for the next 2 years. So as part of YTP, you'll do what's called an individual athlete profiling plan. That's where we'll kind of look at you almost like as an athlete and do kind of a breakdown of what your areas of strength are, what we can do obviously to help you. That'll be done in conjunction with an assessor, a YTP coach, and also your personal coach as well. So it's a big holistic kind of input for everyone to add to. For every session that we offer to athletes, whether that's through finance, social media, health and safety, we'll also offer the same workshops to parents. So it won't just be for the athletes, there are also going to be some parent workshops as well. The performance support sessions, they're going to be around things such as nutrition and psychology. Then there's also going to be some further national training mentoring opportunities, which I was going to touch on towards the end. And the big aspect is obviously going to be that dual career bit as well. So as well as kind of doing all the training, we'll also do some qualification elements alongside this. The time commitments for this are not large at all. It's going to be mostly be done actually in your training environment and maybe an hour or two in between each camp. So if we move on to the next slide, we can touch on the delivery and support that you'll actually receive. So as you saw from the video, which kind of showcases the program in its best light, you receive some excellent coaching from the YTP coaches. We've got a fantastic team that work with us, some really, really skilled coaches. We're also going to do some stuff on values and behaviors, nutrition. You'll get some one-to-ones as part of the program for both nutrition and psychology, quite in depth and a lot of support, which is not available kind of, for all programs. It's a really high level of support you get. Then we'll also do some work on lifestyle, career and finance, communication and media, and health and safety. And this will be done through a combination of online work as well as kind of workshops on the national days, which leads on to the next bit on the structure. Unmute yourself, Alan.
Back to me, I'm afraid, everyone. So we have two different elements of delivery. We have our national training days, which is largely what was showcased in the videos that we've just shared with you. This is a blend of both tech physical stuff, so the events that you do and the physical qualities required to be successful in those areas, alongside other DICE, what we call DICE modules, which are a piece of the qualification. So it may be that a session of a day is your, for a better one of it, it could be a javelin session if you're a javelin thrower, followed by some work on nutrition, followed by some work on physical preparation. And you'll see at the bottom there, we have a physical prep curriculum, followed by some testing, followed by some work on your individual athlete plan. So it's a very integrated day on the national days with some of the technical, tactical, physical work, the physical preparation curriculum, and some of the education-based work as well. So we'll use a lot of that day where we can to support the qualification assessment, where we want the work this year to be as closely based to the work you already do as an athlete. So it's not adding extra or very little extra academic work to what for many of you are already busy academic lives. So we'll use as much of this time with our assessors on site to start to show competencies and understanding of some of these areas. So it may be the fact that there's conversations between you and a coach, which can be logged to show that you really understand what is going on in that area. And it may be a conversation about nutrition. How do you prepare for training? How do you recover from training nutritionally? Give us some examples. But then that conversation can be logged by an assessor to show that you've got that level of understanding. These are typically a maximum of 8 days across the 18 months that we'll deliver. We look to have them all delivered by the Easter holidays of year 2 of the program, so that all of this work is complete before your A-level exams and really heavy revision periods times come, because we know that's a real pinch point for people. So that there's less of a clash between A-levels or equivalent and any work that you need to do for DICE as well, so that you've got that time there that is spent on your academic work back within your normal school and home environments. YTP coaches deliver, so we've got a really big range of superb coaches who come in to deliver and work with both athlete and coach on the delivery of our national days. So they are people with expertise both in the pathway, further through the pathway, so they may have coached or competed at Olympic level, but primarily they are people who are experts in working with people at this stage of a pathway. So they are really there with knowledge and expertise to support people to progress from 16 years old right the way through to 21, 22. So they are experts in working with you at your age and stage of development as well. And for those who've already applied, you'll see we deliver next year across 3 different sites. We will have a main site in Loughborough, where predominantly national training days will happen for the majority. And then our talent hubs in Leeds and Birmingham. Those in Leeds and Birmingham will be both by geographical nature, so where people are spread closer to those centres, but also where we've got expertise in coaching in those areas. So not all events will be on offer in Leeds and Birmingham. Leeds is very much, for example, a speed and endurance centre, but won't have any of the field events due to the facility availability up in Leeds. Birmingham will specialise in a couple of different event areas depending on the applications and the facility requirements, where Loughborough and Birmingham will work with different athletes, different groups of athletes across those 2 areas. So it may be that the hurdlers are in Birmingham, for example, as well as people who are geographically based, a little bit easier and better for them to be based in Birmingham around the talent hub there, and they'll have their delivery in those centres and sites. I'm just going to pass back to Tom, who's going to talk about non-contact days, which are predominantly based around making sure that the qualification is complete as well.
So the non-contact days are going to be largely self-paced. So we'll have a online learning hub for everyone to work through. So ahead of each workshop, there might be videos and tasks that we ask you to watch. Each of these are going to be 5 to 10 minutes. So we anticipate it'll be no more than an hour's work in between each camp. We'll also arrange your one-to-one sessions as well for nutrition and psychology. There might be other little tasks that we ask you to upload from elements that you're doing, as Alan said, within your training environment already, rather than adding to your additional work. And you'll also have calls with an assessor. All the assessors on our team are ex-athletes or current athletes. We've got a fantastic range of staff that work on the programme. A lot of these are experienced international athletes, both current and former, and they've gone through kind of the journey that you've gone to, and they're a brilliant person to lean on. These will be event specific where possible as well. We've got a wide range of people that work on the programme, so it's a real fantastic opportunity for you to pick their brains, and you'll have kind of conversations with these every 3 months or so. And that'll also tick off a large element of your assessment, which we'll just do through phone calls, which will be done at a time to suit you. On the next slide, it kind of goes through the actual delivery model and how the program is going to look. So we're going to start with online induction in September. This is going to be for everyone starting the program this year. We're then going to move to a 2-day camp in October. This is going to be an overnight stay in Loughborough. It's going to involve a lot of training and then kind of wrap around for the day, as Alan discussed previously. We're then going to move to a 1-day national camp in December and further one in March, and then we take a gap through the summer. This is to avoid any competitions. Also, we know it's a busy period for everyone in terms of exams, summer holidays, etc., etc. So we take a break then, and then we'll start back with a camp in October for 1 day, and then December, and then we finish up with a final training day in March. And as you can see, the online delivery of one-to-ones and everything kind of runs alongside the entire 2-year program. Looking at the program in a little bit more specific detail, you can see this is the outline and kind of what we're looking to cover as it stands for each day. So we'll do kind of an introduction on the first day and a kind of a pathway outline and a welcome to the course. On the first day in October, the overnight camp, we'll do some event-specific training, little bits around health and safety and some anti-doping. We'll also add in a couple more workshops to be confirmed near to time. Then into December, again, we'll always do event-specific training. So that's your kind of your run, jump, throws. We'll do some nutrition, and then there's also going to be a mental health workshop as well. Moving into March, that's when we're really going to start looking at kind of your individual athlete plan ahead of the summer season, and kind of working really with you, kind of looking towards the summer and key competitions. That will then lead into having a talk as well on kind of preparing for international competitions and opportunities within the pathway. Then as we kind of move forward into year 2 of delivery, we're going to look again at some event-specific training. And there'll likely be some profiling and testing done within the first year as well. We'll add in some social media in September. And then as we move on to December, we'll kind of do a review of your career plan and where things are. We'll do a lifestyle session as well. And then moving on to the final day, we'll kind of, again, go through some training. Then we'll look at some athlete reflections as well, and kind of a wraparound of the course itself. So as you can see, the course kind of flows kind of from session to session throughout the 2 years, and there'll be bits interspersed online and in person throughout that as well.
So what we mentioned earlier, we are very, I think we've got some coaches online with us tonight. It's very much a coach and athlete program, so we aim to support both. The ideal scenario is where a personal coach arrives and is able to be at all of the sessions that we run through across the 2 years. Now, we also appreciate personal coaches of athletes on the YTP, potentially have athletes on futures programs or junior talent programs, or also volunteer coaches, have families and job roles as well. So support coaches, our YTP coaches who are delivering, they will endeavor to make contact with personal coaches pre the days and post the days as well, with both, this is what we're going to do, this is what I've seen, this is some feedback, this is what some thoughts that might help for those that aren't able to attend on the day as well. And I think that's really important, is that we want to support the coach as much as we want to support the athlete. It is very much a coach and athlete support program. While it's only the athlete that gets the qualification, what we really want to do is be able to support both people within that journey. So very much technical support and mentoring as required and appropriate. Won't be appropriate for every coach who comes onto the youth talent program to be mentored by one of our coaches, but there will be other support if it's required and needed. The physical preparation support, that'll be practical within the days as well. We've got expert strength conditioning coaches who will be working with coaches and athletes to look at, how do you teach this lift? How does it actually fit? How could you progress this? How could you regress this if somebody's just starting their journey in that space as well? Coaches with a wide range of knowledge and skills. So it is very much around providing you opportunity to work with practitioners in the support services, so physical preparation, nutrition, sports psych, lifestyle, so that you can build the team around you and your athlete to really make sure that wherever you need support to make your program day to day more all-encompassing, that we can support you and help provide that as well. We also each year run a little bit of a webinar series specifically designed around coaches working with athletes on the talent pathway. So it's very much around supporting you in the journey that you're going to be going through with this athlete. And again, that's online. We're bringing experts to deliver that. And again, some people, not all the things we run will be appropriate for everyone, and you can dip in and out of that as suits you. Very much being part of a coaching community, and as part of that, we are really privileged to have cookery support for the youth talent program, and while athletes can access this and get some kit, coaches can also access cookery support team kit as well, as can parents. And once athletes are selected onto a program, coaches, parents and athletes will get a link to be able to get different bits of kit at a discounted rate, and also support to make sure that personal coaches can get accreditation where appropriate at England championships as well. So we'll be making sure we send out the links to where to apply for your personal coach accreditation, building into each championships of any England champs that may be on. So we just mentioned that we have a deal with Cookery Sports. Cookery are a sponsor of the youth talent program, and this comes in a number of forms. Number one is they support every athlete who is part of the youth talent program. So each person of the 220 to get some youth talent program kit. And that is provided by Cookery, and we provide that to every single athlete. Hence why when you do your application, it's asked for you for a t-shirt size. So that's some kit that every athlete on the program provides. Tom is luckily wearing his this evening, which is great. We also provide reduced cost kit for athletes, coaches and parents on the youth talent program. That's available for every athlete and their team that come onto a YTP, that are selected to the YTP. When you come onto a program, you'll be provided with a code and a link to be able to go onto the Cookery website and be able to purchase kit at that time. We also have 8 athletes at any one time who become what we call Cookery Sports Ambassadors. They represent the company. They also represent the England Athletics Youth Talent Program. Now, this is twofold. This is, number one, is they are provided with extra kit. So they get a bigger support service from Cookery, which is excellent, and it's really all encompassing. They also go through a period of education and what it's like to be a sponsored athlete. So they'll sign an agreement with Cookery, not a contract, but an agreement, that for the kit that they'll be provided with, they'll do some work on social media. They will every now and again tag Cookery into a post. They'll wear some of their kit at certain times. And we will support Cookery in making those selections for those ambassadors. And they're looking for people who are really positive role models within their sport as well as and within their event as well. And it's really about supporting a small number of young people in being able to develop themselves and understand what it's like to be a sponsored athlete. We just had a question pop in, but I think it's been answered by Tom. So excellent news. Thanks, Tom. So what is the selection process? I know a number of you who are on the call tonight have already applied. I know a number of you have said, going to listen to this evening and then apply after that. So it's 3 stages to the selection process. Number 1 is the athlete coach application. So there's a couple of bits of information required from the coach in there as well as the athlete information. So once you apply, that will then lead us into a selection panel, which is largely our England Athletics National Manager Event Group Leads staff, who are our talent program staff, talent pathway staff, and are experts in their area. And they also use their network and staff within each individual event to have information from across the pathway on all of the athletes who apply, as well as looking at the information you provide in the application. So the more depth you can provide that information, the better. Finally, and as Tom said earlier, we will have an online induction / information day, which is very much about giving information to you. This is what it's going to look like. These are the dates. We need you to be here. These are the forms you need to fill in to enroll onto the qualification, and giving you all of that information. So when we get there in person, face to face in October, everyone is very much on the ground, ready to go, and we can do the best job of working with athletes on the track and in the environments which they enjoy the most, which is ultimately being athletes. Great question in there. If you do not currently have a coach, please note that in your application, and it's something that we'll be in touch with you about. So hopefully we can support you in finding a coach that can help I think it was a parent who asked the question, to help your son, daughter, to find the most appropriate coach for their event, for their stage of development, and for their geographic location as well. So that's what we'll be able to do there. If we've got athletes who have coaches who are not licensed coaches, we'll then obviously be trying to support that coach in becoming fully qualified and licensed, so they're fully insured, to be able to move through the pathway as well. So I'll just check the chat because I think there might be another question. No, that's okay. That's great. And I'll let Tom just continue answering those Q&A questions as well, because he is exceptional at doing those bits. So a few bits about eligibility. The close date is the end of play Monday, 3rd of September. So please get your applications in before that time. The dates of birth are within the application as well. The bit that you can read that information. The bit that is worth really explaining is all athletes are eligible for youth talent program. We are the only sport that is accessible to all athletes, no matter their educational status. The DICE qualification is only available to those athletes who are either in full-time state education or a receipt of a 50% scholarship fee reduction at an independent school. For those athletes who are at an independent school and do not receive that 50% scholarship, they are eligible for the YTP and all the same support that we provide for athletes. And they'll get absolutely the same experience, but they'll get a certification from us as a national governing body to say, we recognize your standard of qualification of athletics. We recognize that you are capable in all of these areas of performance, so that you can use it for your own development, which is obviously very, very important, but also it sits within any university application personal statement, even though it might not give you the points towards your university application and grades as well. So while you might not get the UCAS points, you do get the full experience as every other athlete. You also get recognition from the national governing body in terms of pathway certification, for us to be able to formally recognize that you've been through and completed the qualification as well. Just a little bit more about the bits that we ask for, and you'll see this within the application. We are looking at performance rankings, so we're the performance that people have had to this time. Progression profiles, looking at where people are consistent in their performance and how they've developed year on year. That clearly isn't going to be for everybody, because we will have some people at this age, we're very aware, that may be their first year in the sport, so you're not going to have a yearly progression profile. But it's still something that we will look at in both ways. It may be a massive positive that somebody's only just come in for 1 year as well. So that's kind of highlighted through your application. We are looking at those who have done well in major competitions, what people's injury and training history is, the general environment as well, and our experts' perspective on people's ability to continue to progress. So it's not just about how fast have you run, how high have you jumped at this stage. It is about people's potential to continue to develop, and that's what we really want to get from this program. It's not just about, we want some people winning medals next year. We more want everybody to make progress within their 2-year time within the youth talent program. And what are our, as we come towards the end of tonight, what are our timelines? So applications are open now. Just before we finish, when we finish the presentation, I'll drop in the chat a link that takes you to straight onto England Athletics website, onto the Youth Talent Programme page. So I'll share that with everybody before we finish this evening. 3rd of September, applications will finish, and then we will have a selection process during that week, and we will confirm the week beginning the 12th of September via email to all athletes coming who have been selected on the program. We will also be in touch during that week commencing the 12th of September to any athletes who haven't been selected, and we will have a reserve list as well in case anybody drops out. So really important that we acknowledge that some people who aren't selected in the program, but we will offer support, and there will be some links to where you can access regional coaching support if you are not selected, unfortunately, onto this program. We'll have the information day on the 24th of September, which is a Sunday. It will be late afternoon on the basis that there are some endurance competitions certainly on that day, and we don't want people not to be able to compete. We want to be able to build this around people's already their competition schedules for clubs as well. And then October is the beginning of our delivery. I'm just going to stop sharing. We have got the Q&A open, which I believe Tom is just at the moment answering some questions. So I am just going to pop into the chat now, our Youth Talent Programme page. On the England Athletics website. So if I just pop that in the chat now, that has information and the application process just in the chat. So if anybody wants to take that link, take it away with them this evening. Majority of people who have signed in will this evening will have also signed, will also had the email from us, which has the link to the application as well, and also obviously highlighting that they're eligible to be selected and to be applied. So please do apply if you've got a chance. Just a couple of questions that Tom is answering. I will do a couple of bits. I'll come down the bottom and answer some verbally. What happens if I wrote the Leeds Talent Hub application because it's close to home but don't have a throwing facility? Well, most of the training days will be at Loughborough. Yes, that is absolutely correct. What will happen is once selected, those athletes will get, all athletes will get an email saying, because of your event and journey, your centre will be in Loughborough for national training days, and that's not an issue at all. Combined eventers, it's most likely to be in Loughborough for the combined events because of a facility which we have available, and it's potential we may have some opportunity within Birmingham as well, but predominantly the combined events will be run from the Loughborough Centre. Tom is answering. I can see the one around, is it okay to be more than one? I think he has answered that, so I'll let him continue to answer that. Will I answer Ella's question at the bottom? I'm really struggling at the moment as my coach is retiring. Will I have support in finding a hurdles coach? Absolutely. Can I still attend if I don't have a coach? Yes, you absolutely can. And part of our role as a national governing body is very much to support you, Ella, as part of the pathway in finding a new coach. What I would also say is please do get in contact with us even pre either applying or being accepted onto this program, because we can help much earlier in that. We're not just here to help those who are selected onto the Youth Talent Programme. Please do get in touch with me, as you've probably got my email address now, and I'll put you in contact with the right person within the pathway to make sure that you've got some support in finding a coach sooner or rather than later. If you have applied and haven't had an email, had confirmation, you should have got one when it pops straight up. If not, please drop me an email and I will just check and make sure and come back to you just to confirm that we have your application as well. Right. And I've already applied early in July. Do I need to do anything else? Not at all. If you miss the national days, so then we do film majority of bits and people will pick things up with you offline or online, not in person, to make sure that the academic work will be picked up and can be caught up. So if you miss a day, that is really not the end of the world. While it does make your life slightly more challenging in the fact that we need to be able to pick that work up, and you'll have to do a little bit more work not on the day, it's not a problem, and it's really not something that will stop you being part of a program either. Tabs Ford, I only started running 2 years ago, slightly too old for this program. No, we have the next program, which we talked about earlier, which is the junior talent program. So then that is a selected program rather than an application program. So for those of you who are right standard, then we will select people on the next part of the pathway. For those who don't quite get selected for that, we also have lots of regional activity where you can come into our talent hub environments and work with expert staff to support your development as well. And that will be all linked to our website. So keep an eye on that as you go along as well. The daughter in independent school don't offer 50% for a sports scholarship, is a DICE eligible. Unfortunately, that is something that's not set by us. That is set centrally by the Department for Education with a qualification, and yes, at this time it is firm. But we are the only sport that offers access still to the talent pathway for those who are not eligible by DICE, and we arrange that athletes have the talent pathway certificate. The experience is exactly the same, even though we don't get the UCAS points. And we are really keen to support athletes or independent schools, even if they don't quite have a 50% scholarship. It is one, if you're unsure, please drop me a line or Tom a line directly, and we'll answer that for you offline in terms of how the support may look if you are concerned in any way. Do you get selected based on your personal best and times, alongside with the other information that the program asks for to show us and making decisions based on future potential development as well. Requirements have been accepted. We did run through earlier. Please rewatch the recording, which will be sent out. It's also within the selection policy, which is on the website as well, and the link is in the chat for the website. What do you do if your PB's changed? Don't worry, we will also be checking all of these before we do the selection piece against Power of 10 as well. If you haven't had a confirmation and you're worried, please just email me directly, arichardson@englandathletics.org, and then we will work from there, and I can just check and confirm for you. If you are not accepted, unfortunately, it is only we are only able to select at one time. But next year, and once you are post this time, you are eligible to be selected for a junior talent program. So further up the pathway, you'll also, as I said earlier, get offered and have access to various bits and pieces of regional support that we offer to support young athletes that aren't necessarily straight into a particular program on the pathway. We select a number for each event, and it's not a specific number for each event. We have a number of places for male and female in every single event, and then we have other event. Then we also have a number of places just for most talented. So we might have one event that has 5 athletes in it, and we might have another event that has 15 because it's a very strong event. So please don't not apply because you think you're ranked too lowly. Make sure you do apply, because we will have events that have potentially 15 people in that space as well. That's been asked a couple of times, that question. And Tim, won't play to 25th of August. That's absolutely fine. Do you need to pay the England Athletics membership in allowed to join? You should be eligible to compete for England at Commonwealth Games, and you should also be in school in England, but we don't actually have anything to say that you need to be an England Athletics member. However, I would anticipate majority would want to be part of a athletics club, in which case you would need to be a member of England Athletics in order to be a member of that athletics club, in terms of being able to develop throughout the pathway and keep moving forwards as well. Are multi-events also is considered? Absolutely. Multi-eventers are, I assume you mean combined events and kind of in heptathlon, or in this case. So yes, very much so, as multi-events is an event in itself. And we will also consider people who show really good ability across more than one event, because it often shows excellent ability to progress moving forward in the longer term as well. And I've just had one more question in the chat. My son has high hopes this season as injury resulting in missed season. He continued to work hard on strength and conditioning, but poor power of 10 does not reflect his capabilities. Can he still be considered? He absolutely can still be considered. Can't promise that he would be selected, but would absolutely be considered. So I would suggest to apply for a program, because if we don't have applications from people, we can't consider them for selection. So if you're unsure, please do apply, and we can consider every application on its own merit, and you can outline that information within the application, please. And I think that is all the questions, and we are up to date. So just like to say thank you very much for giving your time this evening, so many of you to join us tonight. Hopefully it's been informative. We will also add this recording to the England Athletics website. We will also share the recording by my colleague Phoebe White, who will share it back to all of those people who have signed up this evening. So you'll get a recording so you can go back to watch it. And I would again just encourage you to go onto our England Athletics website. I've just popped that straight in the chat again, so it's there for you. Have a look at the Youth Talent Program page. It also has the link to the application form directly on that page, as well as all of the information. So please do have a look at that. Please do apply if you haven't yet already. Please don't forget and miss the deadline, because once we get beyond that deadline, we unfortunately cannot consider you for selection. And good luck with the rest of your competition seasons. We will have people answering questions at the England Athletics under 17, under 15 championships. So please do come and say hello if you are there and you want to come and ask any further questions as well. So have a good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you as well.